Bring it on one-eyed Willie. Hit it!
Alright guys, so in honor of Deadpool 2's movie release, I give you Ghost Rider versus Juggernaut. That's right, I don't think it's any secret that all of us have seen Deadpool 2, and Juggernaut himself made his comeback appearance, and it was freaking amazing. Unlike,
Don't you know who I am? I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
So, to celebrate this momentous occasion, we're going to satisfy our limitless bloodlust on the battlefield by not doing our typical Who Would Win episode, where we usually feature characters from the same universe that have faced each other before. But instead, we are going to branch out our options and go with a battle that at first glance may seem very strange to a lot of you guys, but I think gives us a sight to behold, as both derive their power from divine forces and are basically unstoppable powerhouses. Also, while these two are surprisingly very similar, both had never been featured in a story together where one fights the other, which means the topic is definitely up for debate. But here today, we're going to come down to a conclusion and find out on who would win this battle. Alright, so let's start things off with the Spirit of Vengeance, Ghost Rider, who is a man named Johnny Blaze, who is a professional stunt rider that belonged to a traveling stunt show, along with his adoptive parents, Crash and Mona Simpson. However, it was later revealed that Crash was diagnosed with cancer. So, in order to prevent Crash's death, Johnny turned to the occult to find a spell that could possibly cure his father. As a result, Johnny summons the demon lord Mephisto, who sells his soul in exchange to rid Crash of his cancer. However, he would eventually die due to a motorcycle stunt gone wrong. So Mephisto was unable to claim Johnny's soul due to the power of love Johnny had for his girlfriend Roxanne. So Mephisto was able to bond him to a demon known as Zerthos, and as a result, Johnny was forced to become the Ghost Rider, who's bound to hunt down evil souls and return them to hell. Now, in order to accomplish this task, Johnny gained a wide variety of powers and abilities which would later place him as one of the most dangerous characters in the Marvel Universe. Now, the power Johnny derives from the Spirit of Vengeance allows Ghost Rider to manipulate and control Hellfire, a supernatural flame that burns the soul of the victim while also retaining the properties of regular fire. However, the most notable manifestation of this ability is also forming an indestructible chain that is capable of great destruction and the motorcycle he rides, which is made completely out of Hellfire and is able to travel super speeds and even ride across water and up vertical surfaces. So just to show you how powerful Hellfire is, Johnny has penetrated the armor of Iron Man and most impressively, Dr. Doom, as his armor develops magical barriers that protect him from reality warping attacks from the likes of even the Silver Surfer, and has even used Hellfire on the Hulk and Lucifer himself. Something to note, however, is that Johnny's powers are not only limited to his command of Hellfire, but instead, he also possesses several superhuman abilities, including agility, reflexes, speed, stamina, and most notably super strength that allows him to lift approximately 25 tons. However, if he chooses to augment his strength even further, he can change into giant size, which he did against Thor. Now, in addition to his strength, Ghost Rider is made even more formidable by the fact that he is virtually indestructible and cannot be harmed by any conventional or physical means, including spells that may affect any living persons. Now, in the rare case that Ghost Rider does sustain injury, he possesses an advanced healing factor that is so powerful that allows him to regenerate any part of his body, including his head. The most significant addition to his power set, however, is the Penance Stare, which he uses to incapacitate his adversaries by locking eyes with them and peering into their souls. As a result, the victims of the Penance Stare are forced to relive all the harm that they have ever done to another person and experience it as mental anguish and physical pain. In fact, the Penance Stare has proven to be extremely effective, as it has allowed Ghost Rider to incapacitate some extremely powerful opponents. However, there have been instances where it's failed, such as when he used it on the Punisher but felt nothing because of his lack of remorse for his transgressions against those he feels are deserving of his wrath, and even Venom, who is incapable of feeling guilt. In addition to this, the penance stare has also proved to be ineffective on those who are blind on the influence of drugs and alcohol, or if the victim has more than 2 eyes. To this end, all these abilities make Ghost Rider one of the most powerful and dangerous forces in the world. In fact, Doctor Strange states that Ghost Rider's powers are nearly limitless and are only really constrained by his humanity. But if Johnny did lose control of Ghost Rider, he would be able to go toe-to-toe with even World Breaker Hulk. Alright, so now that I gave you a brief rundown over Johnny Blaze's Ghost Rider, I now want to move on to the Juggernaut, who came into being when the stepbrother of Charles Xavier, Cain Marko, was raised by his father Kurt, who eventually married Charles' mother after she was widowed. After setting up his new life in the Xavier Mansion, which later became an institute for higher learning in New York, Cain was more so a bully to Charles, partly due to the fact that his father would favor him over Cain. Unknown to Cain though, Charles was exceeding because of his mutant ability to actually read minds. Sometime in life though, both brothers were drafted into the military and were in fact in the same unit during the Korean War. During a mission, Cain deserted the unit and stumbled into the cave that would lead to the Lost Temple, where he discovered the Crimson Gem of the demonic lord Sidorak. When he touched the gem, an inscription appears that reads, "Whoever touches this gem shall possess the crimson power of Sidorak. Henceforth, you who read these words shall become forevermore a Juggernaut." Now, the gem transforms Cain into Sidorak's avatar, the Juggernaut, an immortal embodiment of Sidorak's power. And as the avatar of Sidorak, Juggernaut possesses an impressive array of powers and abilities. First of all, the gem imbued in Cain grants him immense superhuman strength. In fact, the Juggernaut is so ridiculously strong that he can break mountains apart, lift buildings from the ground up, and his punches have even registered as an 8 on the Richter scale, which is typically used to measure earthquakes. As he's even been able to project his own strength beyond his own reaching, as it's not only really limited to things that are physical, as he's even been able to increase his own strength with just a simple thought alone. In fact, he's able to perform thunderclaps very similar to that of the Hulk's and shatter magical constructs created by Doctor Strange without any difficulty whatsoever. And he's even been able to go toe-to-toe with some of the strongest beings in the Marvel Universe, including Thor and a beefed-up Celestial Hulk. Now, in addition to his strength, Juggernaut has insane durability that is so awesome that he's pretty much invulnerable to all forms of physical damage. In fact, in addition to blunt force attacks, Juggernaut has taken punches from the strongest version of the Hulk and was not harmed when hit by Thor's God Blast. Furthermore, Cain can use the gem's energy to generate a magical force field that protects him from all physical harm. It's in fact so strong that it's able to weather blows from even Mjolnir. Now, if he ever does take damage, let's say, which is rarely, he's able to heal instantaneously, which was shown when the Juggernaut's eye was stabbed out by Shatterstar and grew back, or the time he was reduced to a skeleton and was able to regenerate from a single molecule of his own being. Now, in addition to all this, once the Juggernaut starts to move, nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, can stop him. And when he does move at full speeds, he's able to knock down beings as powerful as the Celestials, barrage through cities, and even planets. Okay guys, I gave you a brief rundown over both Ghost Rider and Juggernaut with their feats and powers outlined, and now it's time to decide who would win this battle. But before I do, I briefly want to mention once again that whoever I choose is not fact. It is 100% strictly opinion, and I'm not expecting everybody to agree with me, and that is completely fine. But I will ask for everybody to keep an open mind and respect each other's thoughts and opinions as well as mine in the comments below, and please be kind to one another, no matter how you feel about the topic. Alright, so now with that said, it's time to not only look at what makes this battle so interesting, but also what makes this battle so very difficult, and that is to declare a victor. The reason for this is because these two are both extremely powerful beings that can take an unlimited amount of damage and heal almost instantaneously. So yeah, we're kind of put in a pickle here. So how do we choose a winner? Well, I think the only way we're going to be able to do this is to look at their shortcomings and see who has the greatest advantage. First of all, Ghost Rider cannot be physically harmed. However, he seems to be vulnerable to divine, angelic, demonic, and mystical attacks. Now this gives us something to work with on Juggernaut, as he derives his power from a mystical force that is also demonic, the Crimson Gem of Sidorak. However, unlike Blade, who fused and became an entity known as the Demigorge, and who also possessed the Vampire Blade to absorb Johnny Blaze's powers and pretty much kill him, Juggernaut cannot use the gem to summon the demon Sidorak to his aid, but only augment his power physically, and cannot use it as a weapon like Thor's hammer Mjolnir, or in the same way Blade did with the Vampire Blade in the Midnight Massacre event. So really, the only thing Juggernaut can do to stand his ground is to use brute force, which, as we said before, isn't really going to work. So now it begs the question, if Juggernaut can't harm Ghost Rider, then how is Johnny going to effectively harm someone whose power is to be unstoppable? On top of that, if he isn't moving or is in some way stopped, how do you harm someone who is immune to all physical damage as well? Well, for a while, there was a very simple answer to this, although doing so was still easier said than done, and that weakness was telepathic attacks. Now, while his helmet did provide such protection from attacks, there were instances where it was removed, and although it wasn't easy, it was still done. However, this weakness had been retconned in the second volume of Amazing X-Men when Kane lost the powers of the Juggernaut in the event of Fear itself. And instead of seeking the gem to regain his power, he instead wanted to destroy it. However, after some turning events, Sidorak chooses to give the powers of the Juggernaut to Kane Marco once again, this time making him even more powerful than he was before. And then goes on to explain that every weakness he had before no longer exists. So yeah, this makes this such a difficult situation. However, there is one thing to keep in mind here. Throughout Juggernaut's history, he has never come into contact with Hellfire, at least not that I know of anyway. And as we have stated before, Hellfire doesn't only have the properties of normal fire, but it's also supernatural nature and also burns the soul of the victim, as well as it being able to penetrate through the armor of Dr. Doom, which, very similar to Juggernaut, creates barriers that protect him from attacks. Also, while Ghost Rider could not exploit Juggernaut's weakness to telepathy, it wouldn't really matter anyway, since the Penance Stare is not a telepathic attack, but it's just Hellfire drained into the mind and soul of its victim. So we can infer that even if Juggernaut does prove difficult to harm, especially added with the force field, Ghost Rider is going to be able to break through these defenses and simply continue his attacks for an indefinite amount of time with Hellfire. And this is where I think Ghost Rider takes the win here, as this battle could turn into an endless cycle of these two beating the ever-living hell out of each other. We can also say that in a battle setting, Juggernaut does not always make the most rational and strategically sound decisions. Also, keep in mind that Juggernaut is depicted as a tragic character who has been seen as quite torn, as he seeks redemption for his past actions, meaning he has a lot to burn for, and the Penance Stare would effectively KO him or even kill him, as he has no way to render the effects of the stare like others have before because of their lack of remorse like Venom and Punisher. So while this battle is pretty epic and each are more than a worthy competitor for the other, at the end of the day, this one simple thing is what tips the scales in Ghost Rider's favor, ultimately giving Ghost Rider the victory in this very, very close battle. But I know you guys have opinions, and I just know somebody's gonna be like, well, actually, Mike. So, if you guys agree and you feel Ghost Rider would win, then put your thoughts and opinions in the comments below, because I am interested. If you otherwise disagree and you feel Juggernaut would win, then put your thoughts and opinions as well, because I am also interested. If you guys are new here on Dream Battles, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, drop a like and comment for more battles just like this one. Mike G off your screen. Stay tuned for the next battle. See you guys soon.